Hi, everybody. I'm Carol Comator, and I'm here today in Inglewood, Florida, and we are interviewing Chris Wheeler, our coordinator for our HTA classes in the Florida area. And we're here with Jasmin and her horse, Pop. And I have asked Chris and Jasmin to tell their story about how HTA has helped support the health and well-being of this beautiful horse. So Chris, if you could kind of give us a little background, and then we'll turn it over to Jasmin and let her tell her story.
I'm Chris Wheeler, and I have a practice in Sarasota County, Florida. I'll travel outside a little bit, but mostly Sarasota County, Florida, for Healing Touch for Animals. It's called Positive Animal Wellness. And I met Jasmin through a professional colleague, and she had me come to this beautiful ranch and start doing some work with Pop and Luna, who's hanging out in the background. And it has been very rewarding to work with Jasmin and her horses.
Great, great. So can you tell us a little bit, Jasmin, about why you asked Chris to come and help you?
Yeah, absolutely. So, long story short, Pop had EPM, and what EPM does is it attacks the nervous system. So symptoms can be anything. His symptoms happen to be weight loss, inability to digest nutrients, and narcolepsy. The narcolepsy really has affected his performance. When he falls, he rolls over his fetlocks, and so it's been something that I've been very worried about. What the EPM also does is it reduces the horse's ability to use his hind legs correctly. So you'll notice things like tripping, stumbling, or when you're riding, the horse just doesn't feel like he's put together. And so, of course, traditional medicine can only go so far when it comes to rehabilitation. And that's when I called Chris. And she has really done wonders for this guy right here.
Okay, so Chris, tell us just with the names of maybe a couple of the techniques that you use so that our practitioners understand, but then tell a little bit about what you actually saw as you were doing the work.
Sure.
So that people who are unfamiliar with HTA can kind of see the benefits of what we do.
Sure. So I started, recently we did a technique because the narcolepsy seemed to be increasing. And when Jasmin and I spoke about it, clearly it was still pretty traumatic for her and for Pop. So I started with para origin stabilization so that I could go back to the trauma and stabilize Pop's energy system. Then I did a core actualization with Pop. During that technique, at a certain point where I had connected his left and right and front and back energetically with the internal structure of his energy system, in my mind I heard a strong steel connection of like two steel structures locking into place, and Pop started dancing. And he wasn't, it was a big invigorating thing. It was energetic. It was
amazing.
Like somehow the two pieces were reconnected together.
Uh-huh.
And Jasmin
Great.
and I looked at each other, and I'm thankful she was on the lead rope because he was really, he wasn't aggressive or afraid. He was feeling this great energy moving through him. And it got to a point where it was really clear that he needed to feel that all over. So we put him back in his pasture and let him run. And he ran like you'd see a horse in the wild run, like just beautiful.
And Jasmin, had he been running before that?
No, and that's the thing, you know, and with the narcolepsy and the EPM, for probably about 3 years, he was just underwater. And, you know, nothing scared him, nothing fazed him. And so as he started getting better, he started paying attention to things more. And that was really the first time I'd seen him really have such a burst of energy. And it was amazing. And I saw the moment it happened, too. And he was, and like Chris said, it wasn't mean, it wasn't, you know, dangerous. It was just he had to move. He had this sudden burst of just new
It's like someone
life in
plugged him
him
in again, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and he
cool.
just had to go out, and we could tell because he was standing here, he was shaking in the cross ties. And, we turned him out, and everything that he was doing was he was just running and bucking and playing, and he was feeling his back, and he was feeling his hind end again. It was just the most amazing thing to watch.
Very
And ever since then, under saddle, I've had the whole horse again.
Uh-huh.
I've been riding a complete horse with 4 legs, not just 2. Yes.
Yeah.
I wasn't finished with the technique at that point, so I invited Pop when he was ready to come back to the fence, and he did. And we took him back to the place area in the stables where we'd been working, and we finished the technique. And he stood very well for the remainder of the technique.
Yep.
And it was just such an inspiring moment for both of us.
Oh my gosh.
And obviously Pop really enjoyed it.
Yes.
He
Yeah.
did. He did.
Well, he's a lovely horse, and I can see the spirit in him. And
Yeah.
so I love the way that you created an enormous balance for his body, and actually did do a plug-in for him. So
yeah.
oftentimes our animals and people as well are disconnected, and so obviously you brought that energetic connection and stabilized his energy to wholeness again. And so I see he wants to talk to his buddy. So thank you everyone for watching our video, and thank you Chris and Jasmin and Pop.
Thank you.